What's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another deck profile. This time we are going to go over not the mill your opponent out Janemba, but the mill yourself out Janemba. This is one of the more fun decks I've been playing lately. You know, it's not going to win you a regional or anything like that, but it definitely can win you a locals. It's pretty strong on the local level. It does a pretty cool thing once we get to the turn 4 play. And yeah, Janemba is one of my favorite characters in all of Dragon Ball. He's just super cool looking, super evil. Just love how he fights in the Gogeta movie. And I didn't want to play the mill variant. I didn't want to mill my opponent out because I feel like it's kind of cheese. I just don't like enjoy that play style. I don't think it's a very fun deck to pilot. But I've been having a lot of fun with this deck at the local level, so I'm excited to bring it to you guys. We'll get into the deck profile in just a minute, but before we do that, if you guys are new to the channel, hitting that subscribe button and hitting that notification bell would be awesome, because then you guys can stay up to date with all the Dragon Ball Super content we produce here throughout the week. If you guys are looking for a Dragon Ball Super community to get in touch with, get help on your decks, talk about the game, see spoilers, anything like that, check out our Discord down in the description below. We're just always talking about Dragon Ball Super stuff there. And finally, if you guys are longtime fans of the channel, you guys can consider supporting me on Patreon. Helps me just keep bringing out this content that you guys know and love. I've also been pumping out a lot of competitive content for you guys to read there lately, so definitely check that out if you guys want to. So with that being said, we'll get into the deck profile. So the Janemba leader, not the typical one that everyone's used to seeing, so I'll go over it. So he's a burst 2, attack, mill the top 2 cards of your deck, draw a card. Important note, he does not have to attack a leader like many draw leaders do. Kind of a side note, it's kind of annoying how the Bardock crew leader kind of has to attack a leader to burst 2. I think it's the only one in the game that has to do that, has to attack a leader to burst 2, but the Janemba leader does not, thankfully, which is nice for clearing your opponent's board. So you can draw a card that way. Awaken at 4, untaps 2 energy. Supreme Evil Janemba. This leader is actually really solid on his backside. It's a really good leader, so it might even be better in like a some other type of mono blue shell, but really good leader nonetheless. So auto, sparking 5, attack, draw a card, gain a 5k for free, and he gains crit. So a 20k crit swing is already really solid. His activate main is also really good because Broly is meta relevant. So you can discard a card, activate main. If your opponent activates a counterplay for duration of that turn, your opponent has to discard 3 cards, which is, like I said, is really good because of the fact that Broly is a meta relevant cold bloodlust leader, and that preemptive strikes a card, right? So this is a really good effect for that. It's kind of interesting how they gave Janemba this effect, even though a lot of the Janemba cards have deflect. We don't run all the deflect Janemba cards in this deck particularly, but kind of interesting. I guess it makes sense though that since the Infernal Chain play doesn't have deflect, they decided to give this leader that ability, which is pretty cool. Really good leader, really solid. Like I said, could be good in a mono blue shell, but we'll get into the main deck. So Psyche Demon rocking out. This is our typical 1-drop. It's kind of this card and Childish Heart Janemba. A lot of times there's a lot of back and forth between if you should play Psyche Demon in your mill deck, if you should play Childish Heart in your mill deck. In this deck, they both work perfectly. They both just do exactly what you want them to do. So Psyche Demon, 1-drop, scry top 7 for a Janemba, add it to your hand, and then you can also look at the bottom of your deck and add a Janemba. So like late game, if you're dropping a Psyche Demon, if you use a Janemba ability to bottom deck one of them, you can get it back with his ability. You got to just remember that you put it there. Really good card. 4-dimension magic. Perks of being a blue leader. I mean, it is a more fun deck, like I said before, but this is just one of the best negates in the entire game, and we take some cards to kind of we play some cards to take advantage of that a little bit later on. Also, some self-awaken. There is some self-awaken in this deck, but sometimes you just need to get there. Like if your opponent's swinging out like your battle cards, you just need to dimension magic by taking a life, and the leader will let you do that pretty easily. Really good card. 4 Senzu Bean. Even people say that you don't need to play this card as much anymore with aggro, you know, not being as dominant in the format. And like I keep saying this, Storm is still good, but it's definitely not as strong as it once was. But however, like Bean is just straight up value on defense. People need to understand that, and for that reason, I don't think people should ever stop playing Bean as long as you're playing blue, because like why would you want to dump a 5k every single time your opponent attacks your leader when you could just Senzu Bean and then they have to start wasting cards to combo up to you? So just a little bit about card advantage and card economy. I did a whole video on it last week, but yeah, Senzu Bean is just a blue staple. Now it's really the only way you can untap offensively in blue with you know the limit of Annealing Spirit Trunks. And this deck we play some other cards you're going to want to offensively untap for, so just great card in the deck. 4 Burnish Bonds Borgos. I am more of a competitive player, and when I play a fun deck, don't get me wrong, I love playing fun decks, but when I play a fun deck, I want to have, you know, the most competitive edge I can. This is a great card to help you do that. It's not super duper great against, you know, it's not even super needed against aggro anymore because the aggro did take a hit like that, and I don't think we'll see a lot of like Senzu Bean aggro. But this is actually really good against Shenron. If you see a lot of Shenron at your locals or have a problem with Shenron, this stops like the out of cost Vegeta plays, stops their offensive Senzu Beans, stops their Shenron Figure of Majesty on tapping. So really solid card overall. 3 Group Leader Pilaf. Again, more Shenron hate. I mean, Shenron Gogeta, you just don't want to get your hand wiped and have no possible answer to it. So 3 in the deck gives you a decent shot to draw back into it, especially if you're bursting and you're not bursting peel-offs. You have a decent shot of drawing back into it and like your dimension magics. And it's just a super versatile card. I mean, if they're trying to put you from, let's say, like 5 to 3 with a double strike, or like trying to triple strike you for game, peel-offs is a really versatile card and it helps you play more defensively. So it's just a super good card. 4 Great Saiyaman. We're playing Sparking. No real need for the 4 life super combo because, you know, you're never playing an overwhelm in this deck. There's no overwhelms. Your graveyard's always going to be full because you're leader. So that's the super combo we play. 4 Child's Heart Janemba. This card is just super good in this type of deck again. Usually in the, you know, mill your opponent out strategy, it's either Psyche or Child's Heart Janemba, usually not both, but in this deck, it also just helps you do what your deck wants to do. Helps you put pressure on because it's usually going to be a turn 2 19k beater. You won't always swing with it in the second turn, especially if you know your opponent can deal with it, but the turn you are ready to tag it out, you can just swing with it for a 19k. So let's read what it does real quick. Evolve for 2 over a Psyche Demon. So this is going to be your typical turn 2 play. Barrier, so your chain can't really easily get interrupted. And I have like no idea why they worded this like this, but whatever, we'll read it. Activate main, pay 1 blue. Choose up to 1 Janemba card from your deck and send it to your warp. Then shuffle your deck. Place this card at the bottom of the owner's deck. Choose 1 Janemba with energy cost of 4 in your warp and play it. It basically just says tap a blue to summon any Janemba from your deck. I don't know why they worded it all weird like that. I guess if like maybe you ran out of the appropriate target in your deck, you can just summon other ones from your warp, but I digress. It's a really good card. Really solid at helping you make turn 3 plays for really cheap energy as well. 3 Oath Power Tapion. 3 of our 5 Self-Awakeners, not counting any Dimension Magic as Self-Awakening, but yeah, 3 of our 5. Really good because it's just a 15k beater and gives you some early game spot removal. Like on a turn 3, if you're gonna like, you know, you have Child's Heart Janemba established already, you turn 3, tap out for this. If this awakens you, you untap 2, you can use Child's Heart Janemba to get one of your Janembas out of your deck for another crit swing. So that's 3 swings right there, which is really good, and you still have 1 blue floating for like a negate, or for Senzu Bean, or for Borgos, or whatever the case may be. Great card again. Always want to have some type of proactive awaken. You don't want to stay too long on your front side as a burst leader because like the one problem is you'll be a small leader, but the other problem is you'll deck yourself out, so you definitely don't want to do that. Phantom Strike Janemba. So this is part of the main win condition of the deck. So it's a 4 cost, 4 blue, critical. Most of the deck is critical, as you'll see. When this card is sent from a battle area to a warp, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, send it to the owner's warp, then look at the bottom card of your deck and add 1 Janemba to your hand. So you play this guy, or sorry, when you warp this guy, you warp one of your opponent's guys, and you get a card back from the bottom of your deck. So you actually plus, what is that? Your opponent loses 1, you gain 1, so you plus 1 on that exchange. Sorry, math is hard right now. Just came back from school. But yeah, you plus 1 on that exchange, was really solid, and you get to go into your other play. So activate main. Send this card to its owner's warp. If your opponent has 4 or more energy and Janemba is not in play in your battle area, choose 1 Janemba with an energy cost of 5 from your hand and play it. So typically, you're not really going to go super duper wide with Janembas. You're just going to go like one after the other, after the other, after the other, and you're usually going to end up bottom decking them when you start to do those like kind of loops. So this effect's like always going to be live, and this lets you go into your win con, which we'll get into a little bit later. 4 Demon Sword Janemba. So this is, you know, the typical one that people see in a lot of the mill your opponent out strategies. Critical deflect. You can bottom deck this card to warp one of your opponent's battle cards. No energy cost restriction, which is really, really good. And then your opponent mills 2, which in this deck doesn't really matter, but it's just nice if they mill out like super combos, they mill out a boss monster. It's just really, really nice just to see that. Another cool thing is like Child's Heart Janemba. When you activate its effect to play a Janemba from your deck, your opponent, if you guys know how the timing windows work for counter spells, your opponent has to do it kind of blindly, otherwise you get any enter the battlefield autos. And let's say we're even going to go for this Phantom Strike Janemba and they respond to this paying 1 blue. If they respond with a Cold Bloodless or a Preemptive Strike, you can just bring out the Demon Sword Janemba and you kind of just made them waste their counter spell, which is really good. So you can kind of outplay certain things like that, which I find really, really good. I love cards that let me outplay my opponent. Really awesome. 2 Auto Cost Vegeta. More Self-Awakening for 1. Like I said, you want to have some amount of proactive Self-Awakening, especially in a burst deck. But this is just another win con for blue. I mean, this is one of the best blue battle cards in the game. And yeah, it's spot removal, triple strike, gains a whole bunch of power, draws a card, untaps. Amazing card. Now we have the main boss monster of the deck, Infernal Chain Janemba. So this is the one you're going to drop when you activate your Phantom Strike Janemba. Let's read what it does real quick for people that don't know. Critical, auto. When you play this card, you cannot play another Infernal Chain Janemba for the duration of the turn. Activate main, Sparking 10. Place this card at the bottom of the owner's deck. If your leader card is Evil Incarnate, which our leader is, choose a Janemba from your warp with 4 or less and play it. So you can go back into the Phantom Strike Janemba, which you know, you can either not swing with it or swing with it if you know you can defend it, and that means your next turn you can probably drop another Infernal Chain Janemba, or you can go into a Demon Sword Janemba and get more spell removal. So you have some cool options there. No Reality Bender Janemba in this deck because, again, we don't care about milling our opponent out. And you know, it is a 1 cost if your opponent has 4 energy, which is like, it's kind of cool, but you're not trying to do like super aggressive things in this deck. And if you have that Reality Bender there, it's not going to leave the board until the end of the turn, which means you can't go into your Phantom Strike Janemba. So Demon Sword is just way better as the alternate Janemba for Childish Heart, and it makes your Psyche more consistent. 4 Infernal Villainy Cell, sorry. That's just a card to take advantage of Dimension Magic. You get to be super defensive in this deck, which is really good. I always think that that decks that play Bean and that play the pseudo super combos, even if it's a fun like rogue strategy, I think it's just so far ahead because you just have like that free combo power. You're untapping energy, you're permanently beating your leader usually, and you have that free combo power. So it's just super good, super plus. That's kind of one of the things that brings us from like a super garbage like fun deck to like a pretty solid fun deck. And then we have 2 Hidden Power E Supreme Kai. So your deck's full of critical. You want to be able to you know, drop a double strike on some of that. Also, besides the Battle Cost Vegeta, which isn't even always a triple strike, we don't have a lot of like more than single strike cards in this deck. So this is pretty much one of the win cons of the deck. If you're not going to out advantage your opponent by critting them to death, you want to go for a double strike with the Hidden Power E Supreme Kai. So kind of just gives us an alternate win condition. So guys, with that card being explained, that's going to pretty much sum up the deck profile. Super fun deck, like I said, not going to win you a premier event, but definitely super fun to take to locals. This leader probably is really good in some type of other mono blue shell, but even in this deck, it's really good. I mean, you know, going for the Phantom Strike Janemba play into the Infernal Chain Janemba play, that's 3 crit swings right there on its own, you know, looping the 4 into the 5 and then a 5 back into a 4. And if you're able to like hold your Awaken till that turn 4 and, you know, combo some Beans and combo some Hidden Power E Supreme Kais in there, combo some Infernal Villainy Cells, some super combos, you're swinging for like big crit damage. That's a potential of like 4 crits right on turn 4, and like that can actually take someone down to 0 without them never seeing a new card, which is really solid. So like I said, I've been having a whole ton of fun playing this deck. Let me know if you guys, you know, end up testing this deck, playing it at a locals. Let me know what you guys think. What would you guys change? Let me know all that down in the comments below. So yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Joey. This is Crosswell TCG, and we'll see you guys in the next Dragon Ball Super video. Peace. Hey, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another vid. Hang on. This is the end card, not a... Ah, screw it. I'm gonna play some Pokemon. See ya!